ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देव गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे ओम नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे राम हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंकुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरम्। Hare Krishna. So we are on the ninth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. We have completed already five verses from the ninth chapter. So we will continue from the sixth verse onwards. But first of all, we'll just summarize what we have, seen so far in this particular chapter. The first five verses. So in the first five verses, in the first verse, uh, in the first five verses, Krishna actually says that Arjuna, this is the thing that I'm going to reveal to you now is the most, secret, the biggest confidential, message that everyone is not open to. And I will, pass on this message to you because you are a devotee and you are non-envious of me. Krishna uses the word guhya tamam. Tamam means superlative, you know, and guhya means confidential. So this particular chapter, the ninth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, is actually the most confidential knowledge, in this entire cosmic manifestation. So Krishna is going to reveal that to Arjuna. Why? Because Arjuna is a devotee and Arjuna is non-envious of Krishna. So these two things are very important. We also must make sure that if we really want to understand the essence of Vedic literature and we want to attain Krishna Prem in this life, then we must understand that we must be a devotee and we must be non-envious of Krishna. If we are envious of Krishna, we cannot be a devotee. And if we are not a devotee, you will never understand the most confidential knowledge. This is actually, you see, because Krishna is absolute. Krishna is not a relative personality like us. Krishna is always, he is eternal and blissful and full of knowledge, always. And his existence is not dependent on someone. Whatever he does is absolute. You see, nobody in this world is actually absolute. That's why we see that throughout Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada uses the word absolute truth, that Krishna is absolute truth. Actually, that word has, we just read it ऐसे ही कि absolute truth. हाँ, सुन सुन के आदत हो गया है अभी, absolute truth. But why is Prabhupada using the word absolute is very important, because Krishna is one without a second. Matta Parataram Nanyat, Krishna says that there is nobody who is above Krishna or on the same level as Krishna. Krishna is the supreme and Krishna is the absolute truth. Like, for example, for our existence, for us to be in existence, there are n number of factors should come into consideration. Like, for example, our parents, they should be married and they should beget us. Then only we can exist in this world. Our existence is actually relative to our parents' existence. Now I am speaking through this device, and my voice is being, it is being broadcasted or whatever. It is dependent on many factors, right? It is actually relative to many things. This world is a world of relations. It's a world of, relative existence. We are actually dependent. We think that we are independent. Nowadays people are, very much interested in being independent. you know People want to be financially independent, or many types of independence are there. But we are not understanding this fact that we are not really independent. We are dependent eternally. So we are either dependent on Krishna directly, or we are dependent on Krishna indirectly through his material nature, that is Maya, right? So this Maya Devi, we are trying to enjoy her and we are trying to lord it over her, but we are not realizing that ultimately we are dependent on her. It is not that Maya Devi is dependent on us. We are dependent on her. Like, for example, the very simple thing, like, for example, if we want to sustain in this world, we need oxygen. Else our this material body will die, right? So which means that our existence is dependent on the conditions that, in which this body can live. So this is a very simple example, and it is very really very easy to understand if we have a very open mind, that we are not really independent of Krishna at any point of time. We are not really independent of this material nature at any point of time if we are in material existence, right? So this, but Krishna is not like that. On the contrary, Krishna's existence is not relative. Krishna is not dependent on anything. That's why we say that Krishna is absolute. He is not, a relative existence. He is absolute truth, one which never changes. There is no change in Krishna. He is always like that till eternity. From beginninglessness to till eternity. He's not. He's going to be like this only. Absolute. Not going to change. But this world is a world of change. This world is temporary. Khalayam ashashvatam. This world is ashashvatam. Is going to change. Change is the only constant in this world. We see that, you know but Krishna is not like that. So we have to understand that Krishna is the absolute truth, and because Krishna is absolute, everything that is in relation to Krishna is absolute. Because Krishna is absolute, his form is absolute, his words are absolute, and, you know his paraphernalia is absolute, his associates are absolute, his dham is absolute. It is all absolute. It is very, we just have a very plain understanding, and we don't actually get into the depth of the philosophy. That's why. But else, if we go into the depth, we'll understand that each and every word that Prabhupada uses in his book is conveying a very, very deep and profound message, right? So yes, so just like Krishna is absolute, his name, form, quality, pastimes, his dham, his associates, everything is absolute, his paraphernalia. And what is Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is Krishna's words, right? So just like Krishna is absolute, Bhagavad Gita is also absolute, because it is Krishna's words, right? That's why we see that now, 5,000, more than 5,000 years have passed by since Krishna has spoken this Bhagavad Gita. But still, did you see any amendments coming in between? That अरे वो वर्स अभी यूजफुल नहीं रहा तो हम लोग इसको थोड़ा अमेंड कर रहे हैं, ऐसा कोई अमेंडमेंट तो नहीं है, राइट? Since then the Bhagavad Gita is same only. Why? Because this Bhagavad Gita is absolute, just like Krishna, right? So because it is like Krishna, we have to understand that we cannot directly approach it without devotion and faith, because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita itself that I reveal to the proportion of surrender of the person, right? Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sthataiva bhajamyaham. The to the intensity of his bhajan and to the level of his surrender of the devotee, Krishna reveals himself to up to that proportion. If you are 50%, surrendered, Krishna will reveal 50% to you. Ye yatha mam prapadyante. Prapadyante means to surrender. So somebody, to what degree he or she surrenders, Krishna reveals to that degree, right? So similarly, this Bhagavad Gita also, when Krishna says that this is guhyatamam shastram, this is the topmost confidential knowledge, and I will give it to you. Somebody might think that Are Baba, this is given in the ninth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is saying that is the most confidential. Now it has been printed in books and it is being distributed all over the world, and there are websites also in which it is freely available. How can Krishna say that it is the most confidential? है ना? If everybody knows it, it is freely available for everyone. How is it the most confidential? It is the most confidential because Bhagavad Gita has to reveal itself to you. Nobody can scholarly, with a scholarly mindset or intellectual mindset, get into the Gita and learn it completely. It is impossible. Bhagavad Gita has to reveal itself to you. That is what. Just like Krishna. That is why this was the connection. Why I was trying to say that Krishna is absolute. Similarly, Krishna's words are absolute. And because Krishna's words are absolute, it is just like Krishna. And because it is like Krishna, it is to the level of your surrender that Krishna reveals. It is up to the level of your surrender Bhagavad Gita reveals. Right? So you can just read and go on, but that realization would never come if you are approaching it from an intellectual perspective कि आज तो जानकर ही रहूंगा या फिर a scholarly perspective. No, it won't reveal itself to you. So it is very important to understand that what Krishna is actually saying when he is saying that this is the topmost secret, right? So Krishna only has said that you have to be non-envious and you have to be a devotee. If you are both, then you will surrender, and to the level of your surrender, to the level of your devotion and non-enviousness, Bhagavad Gita, this Guhyatamam Shastram, this topmost confidential knowledge will reveal itself to you. So yes, then after that Krishna went on saying that how the entire creation is resting upon him, but still he is different from those creations. So we had elaborately discussed on all those points. Now from we will start from the sixth verse onwards, right? I'll share the screen. Yes. यथाकाशस्थितो नित्यं वायुः सर्वत्र गो महान् तथा सर्वाणि भूतानि मत्स्थानीति उपधारय. So Krishna is saying yatha akasha sthita nityam. Okay, यथा मीन्स जिस तरह से और जस्ट एज, यथा आकाश स्थितो. Okay, akasha means akash, the space, right? You know, the sky. So yatha akasha stitah, stitah means to stay, you know, to be situated, like that. Yatha akasha sthito nityam, nityam means forever or always, right? Yatha akasha sthito nityam vayuhu. What is situated in the sky always? Vayuhu. Vayu means air or wind, right? So yatha akasha sthito nityam vayuhu sarvatra go mahan. Sarvatra ga means which is blowing everywhere. So the wind is actually blowing everywhere in all the directions. But where is it situated always? It is situated in the sky, right? Just like that, tatha, just like that. So yatha tatha. यथा मीन्स जिस तरह से, एंड तथा मीन्स उसी तरह से. सो यथा मीन्स जस्ट एज, एंड तथा मीन्स सिमिलरली. सो इन द सेम फैशन, इन द सेम वे, तथा सर्वाणि भूतानि. सर्वाणि मीन्स ऑल, right? Everything, everyone. Sarvani bhutani. Bhutani means all the created living beings, all the jivas that are in the material platform. Sarvani bhutani, all created beings. Mat ti upadharaya. Mat means they are situated in me. Mat iti upadharaya. Yeah. Upadharaya. Upadharya means you try to understand, Arjuna. So what is Krishna saying? Krishna is saying that yatha, just like, you know, akasha sthitah, in the sky, you know, nityam, all the time in the sky, actually the wind is situated in the sky. Even though the wind is blowing everywhere, right? It is great wind, it is blowing everywhere. But still it is always present, or always it is staying where? In the akasha, in the sky. Similarly, all the created living entities are actually staying in me, are situated in me. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me, right? So so Krishna basically is saying that every created being is actually, resting in me. That is what Krishna is saying and trying to say. सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम् कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि kalpadau visrajamyaham. Now Krishna is going to say that how creation actually happens. Okay, Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So now here Krishna is going to explain that how the universes are created, then how it is annihilated. You know what is the duration? We have already had a glimpse of it previously, but here Krishna is going to elaborately explain. So we have to understand this, that in the previous verses, like in the fourth verse and the fifth verse, we had pointed out like how Krishna is saying that even though everything is resting in me, I am different from them, right? They are resting in me, I am not resting in them. But at the same time we see that Krishna only says that I am the person who is resting in everyone's heart as Paramatma, right? We were actually reconciling all these statements in the previous session, but still some part of it may overlap for better understanding even in this uh, discussion of ours. Okay. Sarva bhutani kaunteya. Sarva means all, and sarva bhutani, bhutani means all the created living beings. Sarva bhutani kaunteya, O kaunteya, all these created living beings, prakritim yanti mamakam. Prakritim means prakriti or nature, yanti mamakam. Right? Enter into my prakriti. That is what Krishna is saying. Mamakam, prakriti means the nature, and yanti mamakam means enter into. the prakriti, and which prakriti? Mamakam, my prakriti. So sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamakam kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau visrajamyaham. So Krishna is saying that in the end of a kalpa, of particular kalpa, all these created living beings, they enter into my nature. And after that, in the beginning of a new kalpa, what do? I create them again. Right? I create this material universe again, and they go out of me and they become this thing, the living entities again. That is what Krishna is saying. Oh, son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature. And at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. So we will understand it in a, you know, in a bit of depth, because thoda technical hai ye. Why? The first reason is, what do kalpa mean? Kalpa means a day of Brahma is called kalpa. 12 hours of Brahmaji is called kalpa. And 12 hours of Brahmaji means the daytime of Brahmaji, and there is a night of Brahma also. That is also a kalpa. Right? So now here, when Krishna is saying that, the entire creation, it comes into me. And after that, एक second. Yeah. So yes, now when Krishna is saying that the entire universe is annihilated and it comes into me, it becomes part of my nature, and the in the beginning of another kalpa, the creation happens again by my own energy. So what is Krishna actually meaning here? See, हमारा जो, मतलब जैसे कि हम लोग ने पिछले कोई परपोर्ट्स में पढ़ा था कि कैसे हमारा जो टाइम का कैलकुलेशन रहता है, इट इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम दैट ऑफ द देवतास एंड इट इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम ब्रह्मा जी. राइट? तो हमारा कितना युग जब खत्म होता है, जितने सारे महायुग खत्म होते हैं, तब जाके ब्रह्मा जी का एक दिन होता है, और उसे हम लोग एक कल्प कहते हैं. सिमिलरली उनका एक रात होता है. ऐसे वो 100 ईयर्स के स्पैन जीते हैं. तो वो 100 ईयर्स का जो एंड रहता है ना, तभी एक ब्रह्मा जी का डेथ होता है. एंड आफ्टर दैट द एंटायर कॉस्मिक मैनिफेस्टेशन इज एनिहिलेटेड. राइट? सो हम लोग बैक बैक से पढ़ेंगे अभी. देखो क्या होता है कि first thing is, there are actually, what we are experiencing here, this material world, what we are experiencing is a very small fraction of even that. We will come to that. But actually, if you see, the material creation of Krishna is actually only 1/4 of the creation. Right? 3/4 is actually spiritual world. Right? So there are, if when we say about creation, creation is not just this material world. There is spiritual world also. So 75% of of Krishna's creation, that is 3/4 of Krishna's creation, is actually the spiritual world. Right? फिर उसके बाद में 1/4 is actually this material world. Now in the spiritual world, all the jivas, in the spiritual world, they are called nitya muktas. They are eternally liberated beings. Why? Because they are having loving exchanges with Krishna, and the pastimes and leelas are always going on. That is what happening in the spiritual world. Spiritual world is not something very void. There is nothing, शून्य, ऐसा नहीं है. Spiritual world में लीला और इत्यादि चलता रहता है. They are having that ananda all the time. And because we are jivas, we we have two option. I cannot really say option. It is as per our desire that where we would stay. Right? If we are really envious of Krishna, that means that we want to enjoy apart from Krishna, or we want to become purushas like Krishna, which is not our eternal constitutional position. Right? If we want to be like that, we are put into this material world. Such jivas come to the material world. Right? So material world is actually only 1/4 of the creation of Krishna. The 3/4 of the creation of Krishna is spiritual world. Okay? Now in the spiritual world, there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets, and in every Vaikuntha planet there is a predominating Vishnu deity who is there, like Hari, or Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Sankarshana, Narayana. So there are different predominating deities of Vishnu, Keshava, like that. They are all there in different Vaikuntha planets. They are, the supreme deity of that planet. And there are innumerable jivas who want to, render the loving devotional service to him. So above these Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual world itself, on the topmost Vaikuntha planet is actually Goloka Vrindavan, in which Krishna eternally resides with the residents of Vrindavan and performs his Ragamayi, Leelas all the time, right? So in all the other Vaikuntha planets, actually the devotional service is rendered in the mood of Aishwarya. It's called awe and reverence, that he is the supreme lord and all those things. But in Goloka Vrindavan, the devotional service that is rendered is actually not in the mood of awe and reverence, but it is actually in the mood of uh, raganuga or ragatmika bhakti. Ragatmika bhakti, we can say that it's a spontaneous attraction to Krishna in any one of the five primary rasas. These are very exalted topics, but still I'm talking to you in summary actually. So in Krishna, in Goloka Vrindavan, you actually have a relationship with him in any of the basic five rasas, five primary rasas, that is dasya, shanta, dasya, sakhya, and vatsalya and madhurya. you know that's why we say that भगवान को कोई भी रूप से, ऐसा कहते हैं ना लोग कि भगवान को अपना पुत्र मानो, उसको वात्सल्य भाव कहते हैं। फिर भगवान को अपना दोस्त मानो तो उसको साख्य भाव कहते हैं, सखा मानो। फिर भगवान को अपना यू नो कॉन्जुगल लवर मानो, प्रियतम मानो, उसे हम लोग माधुर्य रस कहते हैं, माधुर्य भाव कहते हैं, राइट? तो भगवान को अपना मास्टर मानो, उसको हम लोग दास्य भाव कहते हैं। तो in Goloka Vrindavan, this, in these basic five primary rasas, actually the loving exchanges are happening without taking into consideration that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not that, they are in avidya. It is because their uh, love actually overshadows the fact, the knowledge that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they are spontaneously attracted to Krishna. This is the highest platform of bhakti, which is actually seen in Goloka Vrindavan. That is why Mahaprabhu said that, what is actually the mission of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. He said, Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayastadham Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadu Valkeneya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam. So Mahaprabhu says that, who is the worshipable deity? It is Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayas. So he is who? Vrajesha Tanayas, the son of the king of Vrindavan. Who is that? That is Krishna. Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayas. Where do we worship him? Tad Dhama Vrindavanam. In his dham, that is Vrindavan. And whom do we follow? Like whom we want to worship? Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadu Vargeneya Kalpita. Just like, you know, uh, the Vrajavadhus, the gopis of Vrindavan, how they worshipped Krishna, we want to worship Krishna like that. So that is the goal. And what is the praman? Srimad Bhagavatam pramanam amalam. As per Srimad Bhagavatam is the praman, as per which we approach this absolute truth. So yes, why I am saying all this is to make a distinction between the spiritual world and material world. The spiritual world is actually Vaikuntha planets. They are 75% of the creation of Krishna, and they are, there the Supreme Lord in different manifestations as per the desire of the devotee to serve the Supreme Lord, is actually manifesting himself and exchanging loving exchanges with the devotees of the Lord there. The jivas there are actually nitya muktas. They don't even look towards the material creation. They are nitya muktas and they are eternally exchanging loving relation with Krishna. Then there is this material world, that is a 25% of creation. So when we say, the 75%, 25%, it is for an understanding. We cannot really perceive it. I'll tell you why. Because Even though this material world is only just 25% of the creation of Krishna, we might just create an image that there is a big circle, then is a small circle as but it is not actually like that. It's actually pretty inconceivable that you will understand when we will describe the creation. See, so in this creation, actually, Krishna never directly participates in the creation of the material universe. Why? Because he is busy in Golok Vrindavan. He is a coward boy, he is a very busy person there. Eternally 16 years old, having fun with his devotees. So Krishna never directly, takes part in the creation of the material world, and he is not interested, which is so he has his own incarnations and expansions to do this job, right? So in this material world, what happens is now creation must begin. So who will be the primary creator? The primary creator will be God himself, right? So this is the first, you can say that, an incarnation of Krishna, an incarnation of Vishnu, right? So from the Vaikuntha Loka, I am not going into depth who is actually expanding and all those things. There are lists, like for example, from Krishna, Baldev comes. So that is Balramji. And from Baldev, the first quadruple expansion comes. That is Vasudev, Pradyumna, Niruddha and Sankarshana. From that, the second quadruple expansion comes. Then from the second quadruple expansion, the particular deity becomes Mahasankarshan, and from Mahasankarshan, you know it is very elaborate and it will be confusing for you as well, and it is not, uh, we can talk about it maybe sometime else. So it is a very big, discussion. So what I'm trying to say is, so when a particular Vishnu Murti, he takes an incarnation. This is the first incarnation. This is called Purusha incarnation. So he becomes a Purusha, who is known as Karano Dakshai Vishnu, or Karnarnavashai Vishnu, or Mahavishnu. This is the first, you can say that from this material world's point of view, is the first incarnation. It's called a Purusha incarnation. Now, when we speak about incarnation or avatar, that also many people have many doubts. Like for example, some people think that there are only 10 avatar of Bhagavan. 10 ही अवतार होता है. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. As per Srimad Bhagavatam, just like you cannot count how many waves are there in the ocean, similarly there are infinite incarnations of the Supreme Lord. From time immemorial this is happening. There are infinite, incarnations of the Supreme Lord. We cannot limit him to 10. So what is that 10 incarnation? It is Leela avatar. Then similarly there is Guna avatar. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, they are Guna avatar of the Supreme Lord. Then there is, Shakti Avesh avatar. It's a specific form. There is Purusha avatar that we are describing right now. The three Purusha avatars. So the first Purusha avatar of Krishna is Mahavishnu, simply terming. Or he is known as Karanodakshai Vishnu. So why he is called Karanodakshai Vishnu? Because he lies in an ocean of, which is known as Karana, or causal ocean, we say in English. So Karana Udaka means sea, right? So Karana Udaka Shai, so somebody who is lying in the ocean which is named Karana. So he is known as Karano Dakshai. Karana plus Udaka plus Shai is equal to Karano Dakshai. Karano Dakashai Vishnu, right? Now it is very important why he is known as Vishnu. We will come there. So no names of the Supreme Lord, or no names in Sanskrit, in fact, is without a meaning. It comes with a meaning always. So we will come to that point. So why he is called Vishnu? So yes, so he is Karano Dakshay Vishnu. So from now Karano Dakshay Vishnu is lying in the causal, ocean, and from when he breathes out, from each and every pore of his, cells, each and every pore of his body, actually comes out innumerable universes, right? So now Mahavishnu, when he exhales, innumerable material universes are created and it comes out, right? Now this is one of the qualities of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord, actually our इच्छा शक्ति and क्रिया शक्ति are two different things, है ना. इच्छा शक्ति से हम सिर्फ इच्छा कर सकते हैं, इच्छा रख सकते हैं, पर इच्छा को सच नहीं कर सकते, है ना. और क्रिया शक्ति से हम कर सकते हैं, पर भगवान के लिए वैसा नहीं है. भगवान इच्छा करने मात्र से चीजों को कर सकते हैं. दैट इज पोटेंसी, बिकॉज इच्छा शक्ति इज एज गुड एज इज क्रिया शक्ति, like that. So it is his potency. So just by, his will, when he is exhaling, he is actually creating innumerable universes, infinite universes he is creating, right? So when he is creating, now he has created infinite universes, but there is no living entity inside it, right? So in order to manage each and every universe, what does Karnodaksha Vishnu do? He further expands himself. Now we must understand, when we say expand, we should not use our buddhi in such a way कि वैसा split होके ऐसा सब बन रहे, वैसा सब नहीं है जैसे सीरियल में दिखाते हैं. When I say expand, he has so much potency that his expansion can have the same power as him, but his power won't deteriorate, है ना. पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते, पूर्णम एव अवशिष्यते, right? So which means that Krishna is Purna. Even if you take something out of Purna, still he remains Purna. Purnam eva avashishyate. If you add something to Purna, still he remains Purna. His potency and his energy and his anything for that matter never deteriorates. So yes. So now infinite number of material universes are been created when Karnodaksha Vishnu is exhaling, and in each and every universe he expands himself further and enters into each and every universe as Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Now, why he is called Garbhodakshai Vishnu in each and every universe? Because he lies in a river. So, this universe is actually in the form of an egg, Anda. That's why this universe is called Brahmanda. You know? So, in Brahmanda, half of the Brahmand is actually filled with water, the ocean. Now, this ocean is called Garbha Udaka. Udaka means sea again. And Garbha is the name. So, Garbha Udaka, Shai. So, somebody who is lying down in Garbha Udaka. The Garbha ocean is called Garbha Udaka Shai Vishnu. That is the expansion of Mahavishnu. Right? So, he has entered into each and every universe now. And he is lying there. Now, the first living entity in all the universes is actually Brahmaji. And how does Brahmaji come? He comes from the navel. From the navel of Garbhodakshai Vishnu actually grows a lotus, a stem of lotus. And when the lotus sprouts out, actually, the first living entity, Brahmaji, is created. He is sitting within that lotus. Right? So he is sitting there. All these descriptions come in Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, very elaborate discussions. I'm, speaking in short. So yes, now Brahmaji comes and Brahmaji is bewildered. Then Brahmaji does tapasya for millions and millions of years to find out his source, and ultimately he sees the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord places, Vedas, or the knowledge of creation and everything, spiritual knowledge and everything, in his heart. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adikavaya. Right? So then Brahmaji starts further creation. So that's why Brahmaji is called the engineer of this universe. He is not the person who has completely created this universe. No. The first primary creation, which is known as Sarga, is done by the Supreme Lord himself. What Brahmaji does is Visarga. On the Sarga, he does further creation, further engineering, we can say that. That is Brahmaji. Yeah. So in each and every universe, now there is a Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and from the Garbhodakshai Vishnu, actually Brahmaji comes. And Brahmaji does further creation. Right? Now, yes. Now Brahmaji does further creation. Right? Now, the Supreme Lord is so kind, you must understand, that Garbhodakshai Vishnu further expands and enters into the heart of every living entity in this universe. He enters into every atom, in fact. of this universe, and this form is called Kshirodakshai Vishnu. Right? He is the Paramatma, the famous Paramatma that we know, who is residing in our heart, is Kshirodakshai Vishnu. That is his technical name. Right? एंड ही इज द वन जिनको हम लोग बोलते हैं ना क्षीर सागर में रहते हैं करके, वो ये है क्षीर उदक शाही विष्णु. नाउ somebody might have doubt, क्षीर सागर में कैसे रहते हैं? हमारे हृदय में रहते हैं. हमारे हृदय में थोड़ी क्षीर सागर है. तो गर्भोदक्षाय विष्णु नॉट डज नॉट ओनली स्टेज लाइक दिस बट इज एक्सटर्नल डीटी. अलग से एक डीटी भी है विच स्टेज इन दिस यूनिवर्स ओनली इन क्षीर क्षीर सागर. दैट्स राइट. सो भूलोक वैकुंठ, यू कैन से दैट. In this bhuloka itself there is one Vaikuntha. There Kshirodaksha Vishnu stays. His form is like Narayana. He has four hands, a very beautiful form, very pleasing form. So I'm not getting into the technicalities that who has how many hands and all these things. Right? So we have this understanding that all the Vishnu Tattvas have four hands only. No, it is not like that. Mahavishnu has thousands and thousands of hands. You know, when it comes to Garbhodakshay Vishnu, it might be, he looks exactly like Mahavishnu. So there are, the concept of Amsha and Kala and Swamsha, and all these things. It is very technical. But for our understanding till now, we know that there is Kshirodakshay Vishnu, who is the Paramatma who is residing in everyone's heart. Right? So all these three incarnations till now, they are known as Purusha incarnations. They are Purusha incarnations, right? And these three are also known as Paramatmas. They are Paramatmas. Like for example, Mahavishnu is the common Paramatma for each and every material universe, right? Then there is Garbhodakshay Vishnu. He is the common Paramatma for one universe, one entire universe. Then there is Shirodakshay Vishnu, who is Paramatma in everyone's heart. You see? So all these three are Paramatmas only. So Shirodakshay Vishnu is the Paramatma in everyone's heart. Then there is Garbhodakshay Vishnu, who is the Paramatma of one single universe, the entire universe. Then there is Mahavishnu or Karnodakshay Vishnu, who is the Paramatma of all the created universes. Right? Now, if I ask you, that is Krishna different from his creation? The answer is yes. Why? Because Krishna never really, indulged in the creation process. He was eternally residing in Goloka Vrindavan, and he is having his leelas there. He is having fun there. But if we go into the depth, if we see, is Krishna really involved? And is Krishna really part of, this creation Leela, this material universe? The answer is yes also. Why? Because as an incarnation of Purusha, he does all these things. One thing I missed out is the name Vishnu. Now the name Vishnu has several meanings. One of the meaning of Vishnu is that person who enters his own creation is known as Vishnu. Now Mahavishnu does creation through exhaling, and in all those universes he only expands and enters into as Garbhodakshay Vishnu. So that's why he is known as Vishnu. Somebody who enters into his own creation is called Vishnu. Second, uh, second meaning of the term Vishnu is Vyapanashila iti Vishnu. So somebody who is, who is present everywhere. Vyapana Shila. Who is present everywhere, he is also known as Vishnu. So as Kshirodaksha Vishnu, he is present in everybody's heart. He is present in every atom of this universe. So that is why he is known as Vishnu. Right? So yes. So when we say that, is Krishna directly involved? The answer is no. Krishna is different from his creation. But at the same time, if you ask, is Krishna, are these universes in Krishna? Yes. As Vishnu Tattva, all these universes are resting in Krishna. So that is why this, apparently somebody might read and feel that it is a contradiction, but it is not actually contradiction. It is actually the inconceivable potency of the Lord. It is not really easy to understand the Supreme Lord. Why? Because our mind and intelligence is actually very small to understand Him. Our mind and intelligence is actually bound by the concept of time and space, right? So, if we are bound in the concept of time and space, and Krishna is beyond these things, Krishna is beyond time and Krishna is beyond space. How can you fit that into your mind? How can you fit that into your intellect? So when we see apparently contradicting statement in the Shastras, people think that the Shastras are wrong. Shastras are never wrong. It is that we are not capable of directly perceiving it. It is not pratyaksha. We cannot directly perceive it. Or it is not even anuman, because anuman also comes from a pratyaksha. Like if inferred knowledge also comes from a background of pratyaksha, a background of directly perceived knowledge, right? So because of that, we cannot directly understand. That is why we need parampara. That is why Krishna says evam parampara praptam. You have to go through the authentic lineage of knowledge, then only you can understand Krishna, right? Then only you can understand this guhyatama, the top secrets of this entire creation. So yes, now the question is, when is the creation happening? Coming to this verse, right? So we saw that how Brahmaji comes and the creation happens. Now this Brahmaji, as per his calculation of time, he lives for 100 years, from which 12 hours, day and night, and all those things we have already discussed in the previous session. That how many years makes up to Brahmaji's one day and so on. Now one day of Brahmaji is called a kalpa. In kalpa, the creation happens. Now, when at the night time of Brahmaji, annihilation takes place. It is a temporary annihilation. When there is darkness all over this world and we cannot really live here like we are. So, temporarily we are annihilated, and we don't live at that point. Similarly, when 100 years of Brahmaji is over, and the Brahmaji changes, at that time the universal dissolution happens, right? The entire universe is destroyed, because there is no Brahma here. And from there on, again the process of the lotus stem and the lotus and new Brahma and new creation and everything happens. Similarly, the third one is when Mahavishnu inhales. So when he exhaled, all these universes were created, but now when he inhales, all the universes go inside the pore of his body, and we rest there. This stage is called Shushupti, right? So when Krishna is saying that in a particular kalpa, all these things are happening. So what is actually Krishna saying here? He's saying that in after the end of a particular kalpa, which means after the end of the time of this creation, every living being, every part of this universe, every created living beings and every created universe, it enters into my nature. That's what Krishna is saying. So, from the point of view of Mahavishnu, it enters into his nature. This stage is known as Shushupti. And again, when he exhales out, all the universes are created again, and all the living beings come into existence again. The entire process again begins. So, that is what Krishna is saying here. You see? And all these creations, we must understand this. All these creations which have been took place, nothing is by fluke. कि किसी को ऐसे इंसान बना दिया, किसी को ऐसे पंछी बना दिया, किसी को ऐसे पेड़ बना दिया, नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता है. It is as per the desire of the living entity, right? It is as per the desire and as per the psychophysical nature that he will achieve from the karmas and desire that he has. We become so and so. We become the jiva that we are, you know, like that. So we see here that, O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature. And at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. You see? Now, here Prabhupada says the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this material cosmic manifestation are completely dependent on the supreme will of the personality of Godhead. At the end of the millennium means at the death of Brahma. See, Brahma lives for 100 years and his one day is calculated as this many years of our earthly years. His night is of the same duration. His month consists of 30 such days and nights, and his year of 12 months. One After 100 such years, when Brahma dies, the devastation or annihilation takes place. This means that the energy manifested by the Supreme Lord is again wound up in Himself. Then again, when there is a need to manifest the cosmic world, it is done by His will. प्रकृतिं स्वाम् अवष्टभ्य विसृजामि पुनः पुनः भूतग्रामम् इमं कृत्स्नम् अवशं प्रकृतेर्वशात्. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again. And under my will, it is annihilated at the end. So it is actually as per Krishna. This is what I was trying to, say in the introduction. We are actually dependent on Him. It is up to His will that everything is going to happen. It apparently seems that because we are in the three modes of material nature, we are under this impression that we are something and we are independent or we don't need anyone, but actually we are dependent on the mercy of Krishna at every time. It is up to the direction of Krishna that everything is working. I have seen that verse mayadhyakshena prakriti, that Krishna says that as per my instruction the prakriti works, the external energy works. न च मां तानि कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनन sorry न च मां तानि कर्माणि निबध्नन्ति धनञ्जय उदासीनवदासीनम् असक्तं तेषु कर्मसु न च मां तानि कर्माणि. So na means it's a negation, never. So nachamam tani karmani nibadnanti jananjaya. So Krishna is saying that nibadnanti, nibadnanti means to bind. So there is no karma in this world that can bind me. That is what Krishna is saying here. And it's very important to understand. See, some people think that Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is bound by karma and all those things. Some people say like that. Bhagwan nahi bach paye karma se, aap kaise bach? Foolish they are. Krishna clearly says here that there is no karma in this world that can bind me. And it is very simple to understand here. If he is the one who is creating this world, how can the rules of this world apply on him? It doesn't apply, right? And because of that, the second part is if he wants, he can take you out. If he desires, he can take you out. That is why when Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. I will liberate you from all your sinful reactions, from all the sinful reactions that are accumulated due to your sinful activities in your previous lives and this life. If you surrender unto me completely, I promise you, I assure you that I will take you out of all these bondage. Now, how can Krishna say that? Because he is the creator of this world. He is the person who has, instructed those laws. It is up to his will that all these rules and regulations are existing. He can take you out at any time. Like for example, if there is a king, and there was a robber who had committed some crime in the kingdom, and he was put into the jail, for example, and it was king's birthday and king was very generous, and king went to the jail to visit who all are there and all these things. And the king felt that okay, it is my birthday, so I will leave so and so criminals today. I will set them free. I'll give them a warning and say that next time se mat karna. Is the king can the king do that? Even in a democratic country like ours, even on the day of independence and republic day and all, some people are actually relieved from the jails and all. There are systems like that. So what to speak of a monarch? A monarch can do that, right? He can, at his will, he can say that release him, let him go. So the rules and regulations of the countries are not actually applicable on the monarch. Just like that, it is only for the common citizens. The rules and regulations are there. Just like that, the rules and regulations of this world, which is created by Krishna, by the will of Krishna, by the energy of Krishna, how can it bind Krishna? It is impossible. So Krishna is not like us. Krishna is not bound by anything that he does in this world, right? So there is no karma in this world that can actually bind Krishna. Oh Dhananjay, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral, right? So Krishna is saying that udasinavat, and he has neutral. Asinam, I'm situated as you neutral. Asaktam teshu karmasu, and I don't have any attraction. I don't have any attachment. I don't have any attachment for any kind of activity, right? So Krishna is actually very detached. This is one of the qualities of Krishna. When we say Bhagavan, the sixth opulence, the greatest opulence of Krishna is that he is detached. He is never attracted to anything of this world. He is not attached to anything of this world, right? Just like, in some purport I was reading, Prabhupada says that just like a person who has a shop of sweets, he makes sweets, nice sweets, rasgulla and gulab jamun and all these things, and sells. He has no attraction for those sweets. Similar, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead who has created all these things. He has no attraction, no attachment whatsoever to this world, no attachment to anything. These things are inferior for him. It is matter, dull matter. He is not attached. It is us who are foolishly attached. So we have to be attached to Krishna to avoid the attraction of this world. And Krishna is always neutral. He won't interfere really into all this. So yes, this was that verse that as per whose direction is actually this material world working. Krishna says here, Maya dhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam kaun hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. Maya adhyakshena prakriti. Maya means my. Maya. Adhyakshena means instruction or supervision or superintendence as per my will. Mayadhyakshana prakriti, as I say, right? By my superintendence. So mayadhyakshena prakriti, this material world. Suyate sacharacharam. Suyate means to manifest. Chara and achara, the moving and the non-moving living entities. All these things are manifested by my, direction, by my will. हेतुनानेन कौन्तेय हेतुना अनेन कौन्तेय jagat viparivartate. This cosmic manifestation is working. See, it is because of me this cosmic manifestation was, as Krishna is saying. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. It is as per Krishna's will, right? It is as per Krishna's direction. This material world is actually functioning because it is his own external energy. It is his own energy because of which this world is working, and because of his own energy, the creation and annihilation is again and again happening, and this world is working. And because it is his own creation, because it is his own energy, because it is his own rules and regulations and everything, nothing can bind Krishna in this world, and he has no attraction or attachment whatsoever to this world, right? So we must always understand that directly or indirectly we are always under the control of Krishna. Nothing in this world happens by a chance. Nothing in this world happens which Krishna is not aware to. and he is the person who is the controller whatsoever. It is up to us if we want to surrender unto him and have a blissful life ahead, or be in this world, just rotten in hellish conditions, searching for pleasure here and there, but only to frustrate ourselves in the clutches of Maya, the clutches of the external energy of Krishna. So we can pray to the Supreme Lord and chant very sincerely so that we can get out of this. So yes, we have completed up to the 10th verse. Now, from the next session onwards, we will move ahead. So in case you have any doubts or anything, you can please unmute yourself and ask now.
No questions, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll end the session here. Thank you
Okay.
so much for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.